Hey everybody, welcome back to the lunchtime live stream. I hope you're doing well today. I do have, the chat is not up. Let me get it up here. Okay, so I do have the chat up now. So if you want to chat during the live stream, let me know. I put in the description that we'll be chatting about your favorite PLCs, what you like, what you don't like, features you want and to have in every PLC, and so on. For me, I think the big things are to have the protocols that connect to the devices you need to connect to. That's always an important thing. And then there's usability and something that you're familiar with. And today I want to use something that I'm not very familiar with, and I'm not going to do this line justice. But what I have here is, let me show you the workbench here. I have a sample that was sent to me of a Modicon M262 with a Harmony display. Now we've had shows on both of these products. I got to get my little stream deck out. But in any case, we've had shows where we've had Schneider on to talk about both these product lines. And so what I'm going to do is go through from scratch and create a program. And I've been using Rockwell and Siemens so much that I struggle a little bit because it's different. It is CodeSys, so Machine Expert, and but it's a little different CodeSys, and I think there's some advantages to this GUI than there are at some of the other CodeSys products I've used on the show, and also has a 42-day trial. I think Siemens is 21, Rockwell is 30, but you have to contact them. You can't do it online. But Schneider is a 42-day demo, and I think, again, you guys know I do a lot of teaching, so the longer the demo, the better for the student, right? So in any case, I have no idea what the software costs. I don't even know where you would find that. But I'm going to go ahead and try it. And if there's any experts out there, let me know what I'm doing wrong in the chat. And so I want to just say hi quickly to everybody who's watching. And let's go ahead and just to save time, I've already opened up Machine Expert. Now, if you guys can't hear me, my audio levels look good on this side. But if you can't see me or can't hear me, if anything's choppy or anything, let me know in the chat. So we're just going to create a new project. I made some notes to make sure that I get the right model because I don't know these model numbers like I normally would. And look, it has the last one I selected right there, so that's good. And you see all the different models, lots of different models you can choose from in Machine Expert. But it already has the one that I have here selected because I did that last. And we'll call this, let's say, the Automation Show Live, and we'll call this V1. Hopefully we won't have to do another one. And then for the main routine here, SR main, I'm going to do ladder logic. Now I'm not seeing the second ladder. I know CodeSys added a new ladder. Um, and full disclosure, I'm version 2.2.2 because that's the version that the unit was programmed in. So I wanted to use the same version. You can see here the firmware that goes along with that. And I did flash mine. I had originally flashed it forward. I flashed it backwards with the SD card just so I could use the same version that the guys at the great folks over at Schneider, when they sent this to me, they preloaded it with a program. And so I wanted to have the same version they used. So let's call this project name down here. That's the controller name. I'm going to give the project name the same name. The Automation Show Live V1. And there's a lot of other things we can do in this besides what we're going to do today. But today we're going to walk before we run. So here we go. And so if this is your first time seeing Machine Expert, I'd love to know what you think. One of the things I've noticed that's different about Machine Expert versus CodeSys Plain Jane is they have these different tabs. And I kind of like that. So they have one for the device, kind of like the hardware tab. They have one for your application, which is where we do a lot of programming. And then they have some tools, I guess. Let's see. Okay, some other stuff, application stuff. So here, one of the things I need to do is I actually have an extra I/O card. Let's come over here and go back to the workbench. And you can see that my buttons and pilot light are wired into this extra I/O card. So we need to add that as well. So let's go back here. And we're going to go to the I/O bus and click that little add button. And what do I have? Well, I have to look it up because I didn't memorize it. So this is that's the module. That's the full module. That's actually the actual CPU. Okay, and it looks like I did not write down the I/O module. but I believe this is up because this is the one I have here. Looks very familiar. That was the last one I added, so that must be why it's open. So you can search up here and type in the module name, but I'm glad it remembered because the writing is really small and I didn't bring my phone with me though to take a picture and zoom in. So this is a very cool module, 16 inputs and 8 outputs. So I thought that was very cool. So let's go ahead and add that to our system. Okay, and let's close. We now have the module. Now you can see the inputs here. Open that up. Okay, IX2 dot, that's I guess slot 2. So 2.0 through 7 and 0 through 7 again. Okay, and then we have the outputs, which are Qs, okay? 0 through 7. All right. So the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure I give it some Ethernet IP, I should say Ethernet addresses. Let's see, this is going to be 3.60, and we're going to go with the class C here. Okay, and then for this second port, because it's tying into an HMI, I want to use the IP address 1062. Okay. There's an existing HMI program here. And again, this will be a class C. Excellent. Okay. So let's go over to the application here. I just like how I don't know, what do you guys think? I like how it separates it out into different tabs. I just think it's nice and clean. Although if you use CodeSys a lot, you'll be like, why can't I have it all in one? I don't know. And now I thought here the original task is called mast. And I'm wondering why that is. Why mast? What does that mean, right? I just kicked something on the ground here. I don't know. But in any case, let's go into our main routine. Now, I should probably create some tags first. So, and I have this in the, you can do it in the coding way. I like to do it in I don't know, what do they call that? Table view. So we're going to just do something really simple. PB0. And we're going to say that is percent IX 2.0. Okay. And we'll add another one in here. PB1. And we'll say that's percent. And I could be making typos here. Let me know if I am. IX 2.1. And last but not least, we'll do a pilot light. 0. And percent. This would be QX 2.0. Again, where did I get that? From the module itself. They use caps. I use lowercase. Will that cause a problem? We'll find out. I like to try things. Oh, great! Now I've done it. In any case, I like to try things. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? So what we're going to do here? Let's just do a regular stop. Now this is the thing where I'm like, well, why can't I just click on the coil now? I actually have to click over here to click on the coil. Okay, and then I'll click here. We'll put our branch in. Okay, and I think PB0 is the start button. So I do need to put the let's search for PB0. Yeah, you're gonna I have the global variables, so I have to put that in there. So is PB0. Hey, while I'm here, let's go ahead and do PL1. Nope, PL0. There it is. Global variable list. And you know what? I'm just going to copy that out and use it over here to seal in. And then here we'll do the PB1. I could just type in gvl.pb1. Boom. All right. I wonder if there's any problems with lowercase and uppercase and all that. Okay. Now the other thing I want to do, now this is one of the things that does kind of drive me a little nuts. When I go to zoom in, it doesn't shrink up the rung, but you can't have everything, right? Let me go ahead and do a right click here. I'm going to insert network below. And what I want to do is count how many times that comes on. And I'm going to use an add instruction because here. And nope, that's not what I wanted. Control Z. Let's put a block in. All right. select here, select here. Okay, we're going to do an add. Okay. And we're going to do PL0. How many times does the light come on? Okay. And I'm going to make this a, let's see here, edge detection. So on now, if you want to do negative, you could do it again. It'll toggle to negative. But I want it to be positive. Okay, so let me toggle it back. Okay, so that is that's the same as in Siemens, but it's not really the same as in Rockwell. You'd probably use a one-shot there, an opposing one-shot here. And then I want to use the same variable that's in the HMI. So as we build on this in future episodes. So, well, let me just get this. So the HMI is looking for this. And the HMI is like this full demo application, which I think is so cool. Because it's good to have a demo. You can kind of walk through and see, what they think is important, you know? And so I really should define this in my global variable list. Come back here, got another one. We're going to put this in here as an integer. No, integer. Put it in the right place, Sean. Okay. So far, so good. All right, come back here. That's going to be a GVL. What's it called? Light. There she is. Again, I feel like a real noob here using this equipment because, I don't know what I don't know. But I am looking forward to going to the Siemens, the Schneider event in a couple of weeks to learn more about their products. We'll just say add one. Okay. So on the rising edge of PL0, we'll add one to itself. Okay, great. Did I make any mistakes? I do not know. Let's see if we can build this. Now I get this warning that I'm using, direct addressing. And I'm just going to hit Alt F, say, okay. I think it's Alt, no, what was it? Alt F. Okay, I must hit Window F, I guess. I said, okay, yep. So now let's go ahead and download it. So I'm going to double click on my application here. And let's see. I want to go online. I want to log in. Okay. Yeah, I did not select the controller yet. So I think the correct thing is you double click here. And then I select this guy. Okay. And now let's see if we can log in. Online, log in. That is also over here. A valid address has not been defined. Okay. This is the one I want. That is the one I want. Warning, Alt F. Now I have to log in. So this is required security. So I set it, they actually set it up for me just to keep it simple. Admin for me. Okay. Now when I reset the firmware, the first time I went to connect to it, it made me set up a password. Okay. And I'm going to do Alt F. I don't know what all these warnings mean. I haven't spent the time to research them, look at them. But for this demo, I just wanted to get online and get everything working. I'm working on a workbench. A lot of these things don't apply to me, but in the field, it would be nice to know what they meant because in the field, they're going to apply. All right, so let's go ahead and put her into run mode. I really do want to go to run mode. Okay, we get the rundown here. So we're looking good so far. All right, so let me reach over here. I'm going to leave this screen up for now. Let's see if I can do something to... Or let me just turn me off. Okay, you can still hear me, but you can't see me. Okay, so you can see it. So I'm going to reach over here and press the start button. Yeah, it looks like I got the addressing right. And stop. Start. Start. Okay, now let's switch over to the workbench. And I'll show you what I'm doing here. Oops, let me reach over here like this. Still a little awkward in this new studio here, but let's go ahead and press start. Light comes on, stop, light goes off. Hey, I guess I can say that I can do the basics now. I know how to do the basics of Schneider. Let's go back here. And I guess my biggest wish is if I could scroll and have the rungs shrink up, right? Kind of like other major vendors do. I think that's a CodeSys thing. But in any case, where's my face here? Okay. So, the other thing is I find it sometimes awkward to actually create the ladder logic in the code. Now I know a lot of people use CodeSys with structured text, right? So all that awkwardness of the ladder is gone. But still, I would love to see them invest in, and this would be the CodeSys group who makes the engine, underlying engine. I'd like to see them invest in some usability things like when you're actually creating your ladder diagram, right? And they have this new ladder, which I've tried and I've had all kinds of problems with because you'll add blocks and it'll have all kinds of extra connections. It doesn't define what those connections are. It won't compile without filling in those connections. And it's just yeah, I love to talk to those guys. But in any case, this was very easy to do once you know what you're doing. I looked at some other people who did some step-by-steps and they were missing quite a few steps. But I think the one thing I did wrong here is when I go, let's go back offline here, log out. And for the American audience, I think go online, go offline would be better than log in, log out. Just me. Maybe they could put them both there. You know what I'm saying? But in any case, I think the one thing I did when I went to go online is you want to double click on your controller, right? Or your PLC, whatever we're calling it today. And then double click on the device to select it, right? And maybe you don't have to, maybe you can just single click it, but then I can go online, log in, and away we go. I also would love to know, maybe I can ask some of the smart people in a couple weeks at the Schneider show, what all these things I have to Alt F through, right? What is this about direct addressing? What is this about um, some of the other warnings that come up? What does that all mean? But as far as adding the I/O and changing the IP addresses, that was all super easy. Flashing the firmware, there's this great little tool. If you've never used the Modicon before, there's a great tool called this, called the controller assistant that let me build the SD card to flash the controller. And this is a great little tool. I know every vendor has their own suite of tools and utilities and whatnot, but this thing I just thought was great. And I was looking at, what's the easiest way to flash the firmware and reset the password? Because I couldn't remember what I set the password at, probably 3 months ago, right? And so this tool for flashing the firmware was just so easy to use, and it has the drop downs. What are you doing? What are you going to flash? Um, what's the IP address, et cetera, et cetera. So kudos to them for that. I thought that just made things easy. But with that, let's see. That is all I had for today. Now, if you guys are watching and can chat, I would love to hear what PLCs you're using. Let me go back to full screen. Are you guys? I keep doing that. I got to get that. I got to get that the Stream Deck in here. But in any case, what are you guys using for PLCs? And even if you're watching this after the fact, put it in the comment section. Also, what are your favorite features, or what are some must-have features you need? I'll tell you, I think one of the reasons why people are reluctant to move from different platforms is, the ease of use. Each different platform is, CodeSys is CodeSys, right? But Siemens and Rockwell and CodeSys, there are three very different platforms. And I'll say the same for, if we look at, we've had the PLC Next guys on. We've had I've done a first time using Mitsubishi. I've done a first time using eCockpit with the Wago. I know Wago can now do CodeSys as well. So we've had the Opto 22 guys on, and we've had so many people on. Now I'm afraid we have the Horner Electric people on. We've had so many people on to show us their programming software, and um, I think making them. I don't think a lot of them are looking at what the other people are doing and trying to make it easy for them to use their package. Like for instance, in CodeSys, why is it log in, log out, right? Because everybody else is using online, offline. So I don't know. That's it for me. I don't see anybody chatting there. I do want to thank everybody who tuned in today. I want to wish you all a great weekend. We do have a great show on Monday coming up. I'm sitting down with this gentleman. He's designed this really beautiful SCADA system, and some backing PLC code. And so I'm just can't wait. He posted on LinkedIn. I'm like, you got to come on the show. We want to hear about what you're working on. And he's done it in a platform that I haven't used before. So I'm just really looking forward to having him come on. And then hopefully next week I'll have some more demos done. We'll start doing some distributed I/O with Rockwell. But with that said, I want to wish you all an awesome weekend. I want to wish you all good health and happiness. Until next time, my friends, peace. And now I'll hit that button I keep hitting.